This is the What's Next podcast, Houston's #1 platform where I invite creatives to share their journeys and give us a depiction of their visions. Most importantly, the last question I'll ask is, what's next?
Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Dear John, the iconic legend Quincy Jones said, "To know where you came from makes it easier for you to get where you're going." Sean Diddy Combs said, "Everyone has challenges and lessons to learn. We wouldn't be who we are without them." If 2018 and the last 6 years taught you something, it's that anything is attainable with the right focus and determination. Continue to build. Continue to promote your vision. Continue to inspire creativity and make more creatives. In closing, Nas said, "No idea is original. There's nothing new under the sun. It's never what you do, but how it's done. The first chapter of your vision's movements is done. However, you're still a visionary. Peace and blessings. John Ross."
Yo, it feel like 95. Sachi on my body. Biggie, jigger, puffy. All that ballin' is a hobby. And I'm wildin' in my wallet.
Houston, Texas. Welcome back to episode number 38 of the What's Next podcast, a production of Still Visionary Inc. My name is John Ross Dike II, and B, man, before we get started with the episode, I want to introduce our social media handles so we can get that out before we get into the thick part of the episode. Go ahead. You go first.
So my Instagram, first of all, what's up, everybody? My Instagram is SuperCarroll,
Okay.
SuperCarroll. My Twitter is SuperCarroll, and then the number 1.
Okay.
And then my Facebook is Bryan Carroll, BryanCarroll.
Okay. And you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at John Ross Dike and still _visionary. If you would, connect with me on LinkedIn, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my fan page on Facebook, and visit my website at stillvisionary.com. So, man, first of all, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Oh man, I'm delighted, man. It's an honor to be on the show.
Okay.
Excited.
This is what it's all about, man. Bringing the kids of the future, man. So one thing I wanted to make sure is when I was talking to your manager made sure to emphasize that you were a family man,
Yes.
right? And so when you brought your daughter through, I'm elated. I like to always have the creatives' kids in their personal life on the podcast to showcase what it is they do when they're not creating, what it is they do when they are creating. So your daughter being here and her running around is all a part of the brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good. So, she can do what she wants to as long as she don't touch the camera.
Yeah, she gonna do what she wants.
So how you doing?
Oh man, I'm excited, man. I appreciate the hospitality.
Okay.
I'm all about being authentic.
Okay.
So that's like I feel like that's me.
Okay.
Like a lot of people say different things about social media. You gotta have your page this way or that way.
Yeah.
I want to show the authentic me.
Yeah.
1 minute I'm teaching.
Yeah.
1 minute I'm working out. 1
Okay.
minute I'm being goofy.
No doubt.
But at all times I'm loving on my baby girl.
Okay.
You
No
know.
doubt. No doubt. So I was talking to MJ.
Yes.
Okay. And she made it a point to emphasize the fact that I can only get him into the position, but he will tell his story. Right. So before we get started, because this podcast is predicated heavily on the fact that all the creators that come on, I happen to know personally, right? In my own walk, in my past, through college, through high school, whatever, right? So that's what this podcast is predicated. But then there are creators that I realize that I'm not going to know, you know what I mean? Not from no past, not from no walk in life. They're just creators that, happen to hear about the podcast and then they want to come on and I need to hear their story as well.
Mm-hmm.
So MJ made sure she emphasized saying that he will tell his story.
Yes.
So let's start from the beginning. Who is Bryan Carroll?
Man, I'm just a just a guy out here
Okay.
trying to fulfill my purpose.
Okay.
Always thought, like, always, with as a child, I would always think about like how the world would be if,
You good. You good. Go ahead.
if I had this great platform to like do something amazing. Like, you look at these movies with these heroes, and I would always get sad when I would see like all the evil and all the things going on. And I would be like, man, how can I help? But then it would be like anxiety. I didn't know that it was anxiety back then at 6 and 7 years old, but I knew that I was like, man, I know I got to do something about this. And I feel like a lot of times we always think of something as some big, we think about it so deep and esoteric, but it really wasn't. It's like you build a house one brick at a time, and everybody has their role. So I feel like my role was just loving on people, mainly loving on kids.
Okay.
And I know what it felt like as a young child, not to necessarily have the love that I wanted from my father. You know what I'm saying? So I make it my business in every situation to, just love on kids. And I know that's one gift that I do have, you know?
Okay. So you say purpose. When people started really referring to that term, saying finding my purpose, I'm working to find my purpose, I haven't found my purpose. What does that mean per se to you? What do you mean when you say you're looking or you're trying to find your purpose?
Well, I think it goes along with identity. A lot of the issues we struggle with in the world is identity crisis. We have so much indoctrination through the media, the music, everything that we see, trying to tell us this how you need to be.
Okay.
Based on your color, based on your culture, based on where you live, where you from. It's all these things. This how you need to dress. And if you're not, then you're in some isolated group outside of what you see. You know what I'm saying? But I challenge people to be who you want to be.
Yeah.
Like I always say this, just because you 6'4", 225 and you fast don't mean you gotta play football.
Yeah.
You can still play the violin and be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we have too many archetypes. We try to marginalize people and place them in, and ultimately I think that's a danger that really hurts people because we're being told, hey, you're supposed to be like this, you're supposed to dress like this, and really people are so unhappy because when they don't fit into those norms, now those insecurities, now you're having to wake up and be something that you aren't. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
okay. Ooh, I hope she's all right. So you're not originally from here.
Nah.
Where you from?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. What part?
Like West Baltimore.
Okay.
I grew up in Baltimore County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was talking to MJ, like I said, because we had about an hour-long conversation, right?
Okay.
And for me, it always fascinates me when I'm scheduled to talk to a creative about the support that they get from somebody who's representing them. Not necessarily, it don't have to be something as the role as a manager, but just somebody who sees fit to say, hey, you know what? You need to hear this guy's story. You need to have a conversation with this guy. What do you think? How do you think that relationship cultivated in terms of manager, artist, or however y'all classify y'all relationship in terms of like, representing each other? How did that go about starting?
I mean, it was a blessing. It's divine. I was in a position where I wanted to get more in position. Really? Come on, really. I need you to be a good listener. Can you be a good listener?
It's all good. It's all good.
I need. Is it still running?
Yeah.
Oh, so I think it was divine. Like I had a homeboy that was speaking, getting paid engagements, and just kind of doing some really good stuff. And I went to speak at his program one time. Yeah. And me, I'm just kind of green. I just want to help people. I didn't know that there's a business out here and all these different things going on. And he said, man, you have a good word for the people, man. I'm really proud of you. I've seen you grow. He said, but you need some representation. You need some PR. You need some management. He said, because a lot of people don't know who you are to get you a platform to even get you out there. So I was like, dang, what can I do? So I started finding out people making calls. And I was like, man, it's more than my mortgage. The stuff that the prices they were putting out. And I was like, man, I don't know what to do. And, organically things happen. Got linked up with MJ through social media. I mean, she's just been awesome. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? She, like me, I'm kind of a visionary and I'm just kind of all over the place sometimes. Yeah. But I'm just real passionate. But she helps me to center those things and, making calls, connecting me with people, even giving me great ideas about how I could go about doing things. And so it's just really, it's exciting. I'm excited about the journey and I'm just thankful.
So when you say that as a visionary you have so many thoughts, how does her role like help you define and refine what you need to be doing at a certain point in time?
Because I'm the type of person where, I got to remind myself you build a house one brick at a time.
No doubt.
I'll be thinking like, all right, so I got to do this, I got to do that. And I'm just like impulsive, like, let's get it. You know what I'm saying? But that's not necessarily how things go. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah.
And they always say, if you got 4 hours to chop down a tree, spend 3 hours sharpening your knife.
Yeah.
So she kind of helps me to, put things into the right focus and say, all right, so this is how we can detail things. Like, prime example, like even like setting something up. You know what I'm saying? Like, she just has an eye for how a setup can go in a room. Hey, this would be good to spotlight this. And if you say this in this area, if you sit this and position this way, this can be highlighted.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily have an eye for that type of stuff. Yeah. And I mean, as a team, all of us are stronger than one of us. There's a reason why you got a quarterback, you got a lineman, you got a running back, you got a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And I'm not asking my quarterback to do what the lineman do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to have everything work right.
Yeah.
So it's important. Her skill set working with mine, I think, is just magical. Yeah. There's no way able to work together.
And you just mentioned something that I heard Nas say one time on Nostradamus. He said, "We never plan to fail. We just fail to plan."
Yeah,
that's what he said. Did you get that from there? You just.
Being an athlete, I done heard coaches say it so many times. But Nas is dope. I like Nas. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Nas.
So for me, creativity comes from experiences.
Yeah.
Right? Take us through the first time where you knew, okay, I want to talk, I want to motivate, and not only do I want to motivate, but I want to be involved with the growth and maturation of kids. Because you said you teach. What grade do you teach?
I'm doing 6th and 7th grade right now.
6th and 7th grade. What school?
I'm at Yes Prep.
Yes Prep.
On the north side. Yep.
North side. At White Oak?
Nah, North Central.
North Central.
Because
I'm at Waltrip. I teach 11th grade. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So take us through that creative process of wanting to motivate, and then eventually, if that was after or before you decided to become an educator.
Man, I didn't want to do it.
Okay.
Like, you know how we be fighting against what's best for us?
Yeah.
And a lot of times that no that hurt us so bad is really the yes that we needed.
Yeah.
And my thing was, I want to go to college. I want to get drafted.
Okay.
I want to play football.
Yeah.
I'm going to have charities. I'm going to give back to kids. I'm going to do all these amazing things.
Yeah.
But God had other plans.
Yeah.
And between injuries, adversity, and all this stuff, it really produced something in me that I didn't even know. And it's crazy because I'll never forget, it was a game with Emmitt Smith. He dislocated his shoulder. Mm-hmm. And anybody that knows, if you hurt a big toe, dislocate a shoulder, something, it hurts to breathe. Mm. If you dislocate, it hurts to breathe. And this dude played in the game and finished the game. Mm. And I always think, man, if I went through extreme adversity, do I got what it takes?
Yeah.
And I started getting faced with things in life that was so crushing, that was so powerful. And it's not even necessarily about what it is all the time, because somebody could lose a parent and somebody could lose a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and it could be the same effect. It's all about perspective, and it's all about the expectation that you had on it. And the expectation I had was so strong about making it, and I knew I had the talent and I had the ability, and there was so much stuff that went on. It was very powerful, the effect that it had on me. Mm. But I've learned to not be so emotionally connected to the end result and start being connected to the process. Yeah. So that helped me grow. And through that, I started seeing so much. I learned the two biggest determining factors on human beings being successful is exposure and resilience.
Okay.
So I'm like, man, I said, look, 40% of freshmen that go to college dropping out. I said, man, they got over 50, 60% dropout rates in school in some of these communities. I said, man, I saw New Jack City one time, and I saw Pookie, and I knew I wasn't using drugs. Yeah. But people still doing it. Yeah. So I'm like, what's driving people to do this? Yeah. So I start realizing people lack hope. Man. And I realized that me not having my biological father in my life like I wanted, and granted, I've forgiven him. We've had some great talks, and we good now. But growing up, man, it was really tough, especially when you're the star athlete. You the guy that I just felt like I could have been the best son. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I would see people working with their dad, because I played baseball. Oops. And I was the only, guy on the team that ain't had no father figure a lot of times. Yeah. Everybody going to camps, everybody saying that. And it was so hurtful. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I ain't going to ever do that. Yeah. So I was wondering why I had this big desire. You good? I was wondering why I had this strong desire to work with kids, and I had to search my heart. Tony Robbins always said, if you want to get the right answer, you ask yourself the right questions. So I started asking myself deeper and deeper. Next thing you know, I'm sitting there with tears in my eyes, and I'm like, dang, I'm just trying to replace what I didn't get.
Yeah.
And that's why I was, you want to stay with Daddy? And that's why I was so passionate about it. And it's like, I was just like, man, I got to that void that I was missing. I didn't want nobody to feel like that. So I started trying to fill that void. And through the pain and the experiences that I went through with trying to get on in that rat race of free agency, playing ball, injuries, all that, the politics and stuff, I said, man, I'm like this. If I go through this dark alley and I learn something, I'm gonna tell you not to go through it. So I use my experiences to try to teach other people so they don't have to experience the things that I experienced. And that's basically what it is through Athletic Intelligence, the athletic program, through the Cure, the nonprofit, through the program work with kids. Like, I didn't want to teach. I was just working at a school because I was trying to train as a free agent. I needed a check, and it was good money. I like working with kids. Yeah. But from that, I just fell in love with working with the special education population. Yeah. I fell in love with working in the schools. Like, I literally get joy in my heart when I walk through the hallway and see kids. And I'm nicknames for everybody, handshakes, opportunities to minister to them and help them, sift throughout life and figure out what they doing. Yeah. Say something, Brentley.
Say something, Mama.
You want to say something? You good, Brentley? You want to lay down with Daddy? Come on, lay down. She look tired.
Yeah. Keep going.
I just learned about patience, man. Working in the schools, you know how patient you're not, how nice you aren't, how unforgiving you are, because especially when you're working with kids, you know what I'm saying? But they need it. So I just started. It really was training for me to become a husband one day, to become a father, to work in the community. Because, all the answers that we need, all the things that we're suffering from, I think it's just a lack of love. I go on and on about that stuff.
Yeah. Keep going. Because I'm going to tie it into the fact of, I, as an educator, man, I teach 11th grade. And I almost think that when you get to, I think that you got to catch kids early. Definitely. Everybody's child ain't bad. But I think you got to catch them early. And so if you don't catch them, 6th and 7th grade is a pivotal time period, right? When you get to the 9th grade, you almost kind of set in your ways, like you will do this or you won't do this. And so as you age in the school system, it just becomes more and more difficult for you to be able to get through to a kid. So now you got to deal with disciplinary issues as well as learning, as well as trying to get them to, be cohesive in the classroom, integrate them, teach them all these principles, and then at the end of the day, get things done. Because if you end up going into society, you're expected to complete certain tasks. You got to complete certain tasks. So if you can't complete certain tasks, then you find yourself not working. You find yourself out of a job. You find yourself doing things that are not going to be fruitful to society. So keep going with that, because I think that that's a key component to who you are and what you do.
Brentley, can Daddy talk in the microphone? Can you move over a little bit? Thank you.
Houston, this is what it's all about. This is what a creative goes through. You got to. You cannot separate personal from the creative aspect. So we're back. Got to take care of the babies. So listen, man, it was important for us to take that break, right? Get baby situated, because we're going to get into the meaty things in this podcast, right? So let's go ahead and wrap the educational portion of it, because I want where I'm going to go to next is, I got to have your full undivided attention. I need it. So we were just talking about the educational system, why you as a creative went that route. Okay, let's conclude that before we go into the next one. Because the next one, I want to find out what kind of music you're listening to. Okay. So let's wrap that. We were just talking off air, and let's just summarize that right quick and then move on into the next point.
Okay. So basically, regarding education, like I look at education as infinite, Okay. And a lot of times I think we're losing the kids because we're thinking education is just, school is boring. Sit down, shut up, and listen while I talk. But it's so much more than that. And I taught my class with a football in my hand. I had a behavior class where you had to be labeled emotionally disturbed to be in my class. They bust kids from all over HISD to come in that class. And they had never done anything well in school. Okay. They had red folders. The spare folders were super thick, and I had them in there reading. I had them writing. I had them doing their multiplication facts. I had them mentoring. I built a culture of love. There was no bullying. You know what I'm saying? There was no bullying of yourself. There was no bullying of other people. And there was a standard. There was core values that were set. And our class was fun. Like, we used to watch, you know, I had to make them think that I was the best football player all the time. And because we in Houston, with the exception of J.J. Watt at the time, because this was like 2015, 2016, like, J.J. Watt was number 1, but I was number 2. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? I built that, and I was the class dad. Yeah. You know, and it was a love atmosphere. And like we were speaking about, like, we have to start mentoring kids earlier. We can't start in middle school or high school. We got to get them earlier because there's so many societal things that are going on. There's so many things, social and emotional, that are breaking the families up, that are messing the kids psychologically up, that which normalize. Like, I asked one of the LSSPs, licensed school counselors, the people that do the diagnosing, whether your kid is ADHD, you know, whether they're in special ed, whether they're 504, emotionally disturbed. And I said, well, how do y'all determine whether somebody's emotionally disturbed? And the guy looked me in the eyes and said, whether they act normal. And I said, well, what is normal? Because I said normal in off Homestead, you know, as opposed to normal in Katy, or normal in 3rd Ward or 5th Ward, or normal in a toxic home is different. And I just think that wasn't fair. So I said, I started digging and digging and digging, and I started learning, like we talked about, I think it said like 80 or 90% of women go back to work within 10 days of having a baby. So now that's emotionally traumatic for the kid and for the mom. You know, for the kid, because, you know, that means they're not getting breastfed consistently. And then that's consistent with the oxytocin, which is called the cuddle hormone, for nurturing, for that bonding. Like when my baby went home, we literally cuddle and watch cartoons. She lays on my chest and watches it. That's a part of what she needs. But think about it. How many kids are getting that? You know, especially from a mother and a father.
Or have gotten it.
Or have gotten it in general. So we're doping the kids up on meds. They're not getting the essentials that they need, emotional, social, physically, nutrition-wise, you know. And then we're in a education system that is just, people can say the education system has failed them, but I think we're asking the education system to do what it's not designed to do. I look at the education system like a mama with 20 kids, no assistance and no daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it. You know, in the 50s, it was reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now, it's reading, writing, arithmetic, it's counseling, it's crisis prevention, it's fathering, it's mothering, it's all of that. You know, so I think we're asking the school system to do too much, and we're not thinking about self-preservation. Like, where does the point say where I don't want my child to be poor? But then also systematically, we got adults that, you think about a term, arrested development, where their development has been arrested because they're dealing with the same things that we just talked about. The difference is they're 35 or 40 or 28, and their child is 3, 4, 5.
You know, I was talking to my man the other day. I was asking him about a house because I want him to be my realtor, right? And I was saying to him, I was looking at this house, and it was zoned to Madison. And, you know, when you look at the house on HAR, they have like what schools are zoned, the houses are zoned to, and it said that Madison was below average. So it was telling me, man, you know what, you really don't want to have your kids go to Madison. I said, why not? And then he was like, well, you know, I was talking to a couple of my clients, and they didn't want their kids to go to schools in Fort Bend. I said, listen, I think that the school system expects too much from us. Like, they want us, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there is no, hey, what are the parents doing to supplement what we're doing in the classroom? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a bad thing that if your high school kid comes to school and then he comes home and he doesn't do anything that he did in school, like homework, i.e., you need to be asking the question, what homework do you have? What are you doing? So we need, as educators, we need help from the parents at home to help to supplement them so that way we can all be on one accord. Like, I told him, listen, I love it when parents, like, look, is it better for me to email you? Is it better for me to text you? How can I call you? Can we meet up? I like that. But I understand at the same token that there are a lot of parents that are working. You know what I'm saying? Working 2 or 3 jobs, send their kids to school, and they expect them to do that, but the kids is not following through.
I agree with you 100%, man, because to the point where a lot of people don't even give homework. I think the parents send their kids to school saying, my child is getting educated. And they think that.
Yeah.
I tell any parent, go whatever school that your child go to and invest a week in it. Because you need to see the culture. You need to see what your child is dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
We got kids doing some things in the restrooms that, the term debauchery, you know what I'm saying? Obscene behavior.
For sure.
There's drugs, there's all that stuff. So you need to know what the culture is so you can know what you got to battle against.
Yeah.
And I also say, y'all sit down as a family and eat. Talk to your kids. I talk to kids. I just ask them questions. And, they're going to tell you what's on their heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I agree. We have to get the parents to do more because, like, on Halloween, when we went to the thing for the books, it was thousands and thousands of people there.
Yeah.
But on parent-teacher night, where y'all at?
Yeah, nobody's.
Like, where are y'all at?
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be finding out that your child can't read in eighth grade or high school. That's your fault. That's not the school fault. That means there's no educational theme in your house. And I think it's unfair for parents to fuss at their kids. You expecting your child to be something that you aren't or that you haven't cultivated in the house. So what are the core values in the house? What is the atmosphere? When they get home, what is the expectation? Like I had a friend got mad at her son for something, and I was like, well, that's not fair. He said, why? He said, because you didn't set the tone. You didn't set the expectation. You didn't tell him when to be ready. You just called and expected him to be ready and said he should have known. And I said, the reason why my classroom is successful is because I pretend as though they don't know anything at first, and I try to find out where they are. But it's never any excuse. Think about it. In sports, they give us the greatest blueprint. There's an itinerary. We know we're doing from 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. There's no excuse. And then we do it repetition. It's repetition over and over. Then we watch film on it. Then we look at the plays. Then we talk about it. We watch it in slow motion. We watch it in regular motion.
Yeah.
Then we continue to beat on it. So they know the plays.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me these guys can't think.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you can't tell me they can't be focused, pay attention. Sometimes we just too tired and ain't handling our business as teachers, or your class just boring. Because they can sit up there and play Fortnite for 8 hours.
Yeah.
My baby can sit up there and watch Baby Shark.
Yeah.
And
All the
Elmo.
cartoon. Yeah.
I heard her saying ABCs in Spanish from watching the Elmo video. I was doing this. She watched the video like 3 times and said it in Spanish. They can learn.
Yeah.
And we got to get them early because if you think about how brain development works, we got to set the tone with the way their brains are getting formed, because from 0 to 3 is the most important time where your brains are getting formed. Problem is we having these unrealistic expectations. We don't want to put in no work, don't set no foundation, then say you should know this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You feel me?
I do.
Yeah.
You're giving me a lot to look about myself as an educator. Like, okay, you need to fix this before you can expect anything. Like setting standards and setting expectations and all of that. You've given me a lot of jewels that I need to, put in the classroom and implement in the classroom. So this is where I go with it. What song's on your mind right now?
It was this Lecrae song, and reason why I like Lecrae because he's so transparent about his journey, and I'm all about being real.
Okay.
Like when I want to talk about fathering, like how I'm gonna be a father, I ain't know how to be a man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
But seeking you shall find. So it's a song where he's just talking about his journey, all his pitfalls.
Yeah.
And I listen to that song and it just really inspires me.
Yeah.
It makes me want to work hard. I cannot remember what the song is called, but it's just so powerful when he's talking about his journey as a husband, as a father, as an artist.
Yeah.
And trying to live for God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So you got to text me that so I can put it on the episode.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go with today's November the 2nd, 2019. I'm gonna go with Party's Over by Mobb Deep. Today's Prodigy's birthday. Rest in peace to him.
I see you on the East Coast rap.
Yeah, Nas my favorite rapper. Yeah, Nas
Yeah.
my favorite rapper. So I'm gonna go with Mobb Deep. Party's Over. Right. So this is where I'll go with it, man. So you've mentioned twice being real. Okay. I'm gonna be real with you. when I was thinking about how I wanted the direction of this podcast to go, I didn't know which way to go with it, because for so long I've been repeating to myself, this is the #1 platform where I invite creators to share their journeys, right? Mm-hmm. And creation is not just being an artist. It's not just being a rapper. It's not just being a writer. It's not just being a poet. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of creation involved. That's a very ambiguous word. So when you walked in today, right? And one thing that I love about people that represent something is, for me, I got to feel you in it. You know what I'm saying? You come in here today, and I thought, okay, well, B going to come through. I don't know if he's bringing any kind of props, so I'm just going to go ahead and set up the polos and the sweaters and everything. So you come in with the super sharing. What do you call this? Like it's a book cover. Yeah. You come in with books. You come in with a T-shirt. So I said, there it is. Mm-hmm. There it is. That's the meat and potatoes. So when we took that break earlier, and do you have another bag of Doritos? Because I need her to sit in your lap and just be still.
No, man. We need some. They got a machine downstairs.
They do. I don't know if they're open, but we got to get her another bag, because I need to understand. I need to feel this. I need to sit with it, because I had an author on here before who wrote a child book, right? And I want to hear your journey about that.
Okay.
Door's open. It's good. Yeah. So go ahead. Let's talk about that.
It made me think about, it's something that Kanye said, man. He said something about, like, just believing in yourself no matter what. I've heard a number of people say that. Mm-hmm. And you know what? What I've been doing lately is I've been wearing my stuff.
Yes.
One day I woke up, I said, man, and I've always been a person, people call me cheap, but I'm like, just because somebody says this T-shirt, which is made with whatever material that other T-shirt that's $15 is made with, I should pay $300 just because they name on there? Yeah. I'm like, man, you trying to play me. I don't care. I don't care who you are. Like, I should pay $300 because you said, and then people going to condemn me and say I'm cheap because I don't want to pay. That's the value you place on it. That's not the value I place on it. Yeah. So I said, you know what? I value myself. I love myself. I'm going to start getting blank T-shirts and put what I want on it. Yeah. Matter of fact, SuperCarroll, I want the kids to believe they super, so I'm going to put SuperCarroll on everything. I'm going to tell every kid to put super in front of their name.
Yeah.
That's why this baby SuperCarroll.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I said, we got to be proud of it. But since I've done it, some people like, man, that's dope. Okay. And then some people like, man, why you wearing yourself? I said, well, why you got on a Nike shirt?
Yeah.
Why you got on a polo shirt?
I'm really big on self-branding, self-marketing.
But people so brainwashed, you know what I'm saying? So I said, man, you got to take a step out to believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You got to get past all the noise, believe in yourself in spite of what anybody say, and be like, forget that. I love who I am. I love what I represent. I want to inspire people. Mm-hmm. And that's really what it is. And like, think about it. I used to hate reading. I didn't like to read. Didn't read well growing up. Had anxiety about reading in front of class, would stutter and mess up the words. Mm-hmm. But I realized I hadn't put no work. Mm-hmm. And I realized 1 in 4, I learned that 1 in 4 in Harris County are illiterate. 1 in 4. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
And in the poor communities, it's way higher than that. Why you think the dropout rate is at 50, 60, and 70% at some high schools in 2019? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I said, man, I got to get these kids excited about reading. I got to get them somebody that looks like them, that they can relate to, and I got to inspire them. And I got to make sure when they done doing it, that they can do it. Because a lot of teachers, we put together our lesson plans, we throw it together, and then we assume that just because we deliver the message, they're going to understand it. Yeah. So I put work pages in the back that attack with different styles of learning to make sure that they understand it.
Okay.
So there's sentences that ask you. Because, like, the thing about it, I used to get in trouble in school all the time. My mom said, what you going to do different? I'm going to be good. I always ask kids, what does be good look like? What are you going to do when you're in class when the teacher's talking? We need to go through all of those small things. Mm-hmm. What is the procedure for getting up? Mm-hmm. Do you just get up or do you raise your hand? Mm-hmm. When somebody says something that you don't like, do you pull them aside and talk to them, or do you just blurt it out? Do you hit them when you're upset, or do you talk to them and express how you feel? So I wanted to convey the love and the message and the fathering that I do in the class. Really, I love on them kids like they mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I put that into a series of books. And I wanted them to get excited about reading. And now the kids, man, they love it. Man, it's funny. The older kids be wanting to read it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we just doing that. But it took me stepping out. I had a 2.1, 2.2 leaving high school. First time I took my SAT, I got like a 5 or 6 something. Mm-hmm. And it ain't because I didn't have the capabilities. It's because I hadn't activated it, like with a card. When you swipe a card that's not activated, it don't do nothing.
It don't do nothing.
Once you activate it, now it's unlimited.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you have bread on there.
Yeah. So you have the max of whatever that level is on there.
Yeah.
Now I can maximize my potential because I've activated this card.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've activated my mind, so I start reading. So, man, I rose my score up like 500 points. I rose it up so much that the NCAA said it didn't count.
Yeah.
They said he had to have cheated. Then I went to college, had like a 3.3. And I didn't even really start studying.
Yeah.
I just woke up in a sense where I was more enlightened and concerned about my personal development. And I want the kids to wake up and have an understanding and see those things. So I put in a book to inspire them at a young age to get them reading. Because, you know, that reading can free your mind, you know.
So how did you, who did the, how did you find the person to illustrate the book for you?
Well, I was calling around trying to find people, and they was talking about like $240 a page. It was expensive. I was like, damn, I'm about to drop a lot of, you know, I don't like spending money. I'm cheap. A friend of mine, one of my friends from college knew this lady, and she took me up with a lady on Fiverr that's all the way in India.
Yeah.
And she did it for like $20 a page.
Yeah.
And she was very efficient. We just communicated through email.
Yeah.
It's all gone. You want some more? Okay.
It's on the way, baby. It's on the way.
So just sit there and be good. I'm gonna bring you some more, okay? All right, baby.
So yeah, man. Okay, so is this book? How much of
that's the core values right there.
Okay, the core values: love,
core
sharing,
value,
kindness, respect,
it's
fun.
It's a book for all of those, and I got a curriculum. I wrote a curriculum for it.
Really, love, sharing, kindness, respect, fun, friendship, helping others, caring, empathy, patience, wisdom, resilience, consistency, grit. So how much? So is the book centered around your childhood, or
just different stories and scenarios? See, one thing they always tell us teachers is say something that's relevant.
Okay.
So if I'm talking about wars, I could talk about gang activity.
Yeah.
It's just on a smaller spectrum. So I start using situations that they deal with on a daily basis in class. That's really and stuff that I experienced. That's the situation I experienced.
Okay.
You know, and I give them the issue. I give them how it progress, and then I give them a solution. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So this first one, let me read this first one. SuperCarroll once was a child who had few toys, and all he could do was play outside with his boys. Okay, I like this. See, I love the fact of how some would let him play with their toys and some wouldn't. He always felt sad when they said he couldn't.
I try to put some bars in there. You know?
Okay, so this would range from what age to what age?
From a teak standpoint, probably about like pre-K to like 5.
Okay.
5th grade, pre-K to 5th grade.
Pre-K to 5th grade. Okay. Okay. So today is like I said before, November the 2nd, 2019, and we have 59 days left in the 2019 year. What do you hope to attain in 59 days?
I'm trying to go out with a bang. And I don't even like you know how some people say New Year's resolutions are good, but when you get a revelation about something, you need to start immediately. Okay. You feel me?
Okay.
So, hey, Brinley, hold on 1 second, okay? Okay, baby?
Chips? Okay. Oh, they coming. Yeah,
we about to bring you some more chips.
She got them Doritos, and she was just in La La Land. She was perfect.
My baby is munching.
Yeah.
Let me see. Here. Watch that. Here, watch that. Sit right there and watch that, okay? Okay.
So 59 days, you wanna really, go out with a bang.
So I started a consulting firm.
Okay.
So I realized I've never been passionate about instruction.
Okay.
So I've never been passionate about instruction, but I was just passionate about people and kids and finding out what's their why. And I was oftentimes having the highest scores in my grade level. And I said, dang. And I go to these professional developments, and they were super boring. And then one day I found out how much I heard somebody like arguing in the front of, saying like, well, we had to pay this person this much money. I'm like, dang, they made that much money? It clicked, bing, ding, ding. I could do that. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm just like, man, I got to get out the classroom. Because I know my purpose isn't rooted in just necessarily just sitting in the classroom. And that's no indictment to anybody who wants to do that, because that's awesome and we need you.
Yeah.
But I know my path. I want to teach teachers. Because I know a lot of the issues that we're struggling with students are as a result of lack of engagement, lack of relationships. And a lot of times, you know, the behaviors and the stuff that's going on in your class is a result of who you aren't, not who the kids are.
Who you what?
Who you aren't.
Okay.
Like it's as a result of who I'm not as an educator, as opposed to who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I set the tone.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I said I started creating these curriculums and just started thinking about the things that I do, and I put it into proposals and stuff like that to work with teachers. So I got my educational firm started, Bryan Carroll and Associates. Don't ask me who the associates are. But so doing that, going to different. I went to go shadow a very powerful educational consultant, and doing that and trying to get professional developments and just really getting on that. I want to really get that up and going. Continuing to build funds for the daycare, because like we talking about getting them early.
Yeah.
Imagine, you know what I'm saying, a young black man with a daycare.
Yeah.
A chain of them.
Yeah.
Focusing on critical thinking, behavior management, and literacy.
Yeah.
You know, so I always think like this. I ain't trying to go beg everybody for funds and to get them to give me this.
Okay.
My dad calling me. I ain't trying to here, baby girl. Here you go, Brentley. I'm not trying to beg for funds and beg the school system to. They already proven. They showed their hand. We know they are. You are who we thought you were, right? So what I'm gonna do is we gonna get the kids before they get to school.
Yeah.
Kids can start reading around 2.5, 3 years old.
Yeah.
So how about we send them to school? How about we be more proactive instead of reactive?
Yeah.
So building the funds for that, getting Bryan Carroll and Associates really ingrained in some school districts and getting some business going with that, and really just, learning more about finances and business to get residuals.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? Because I want to be in a position where I'm not necessarily having to do the 9-to-5 thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm kind of ready to really spread the wings.
Yeah.
Get the
Yeah.
paid, speaking engagements and stuff like that.
No doubt.
Kind of start rocking and rolling with that.
No doubt.
I want to go out with a bang.
Yeah. So do you think that with your experience in junior high that you could ever go up to high school?
Crazy. I worked elementary, middle, and high school.
Okay.
High school is the easiest.
Yeah.
Because they're a little older.
Yeah.
It's like little brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Middle school is probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Because that's when their brains are just.
Yeah. When I drove school buses back in the day, I knew I didn't want to teach middle school rather. I didn't want to teach middle school. It was just too much. And then high school, they do have personalities. They can, if they want to, be still, learn, and make deadlines. You know what I'm saying? So the podcast, for me, man, the podcast is all about talking to creatives. And most importantly, the last question I'll ask them is, what's next? Immediately, what's next for you?
Shoot. What's next immediately? Me and MJ rocking out, taking over Houston, the nation.
Okay.
Really just spreading the message from a motivational standpoint, from an educational standpoint. I think everything is educational.
Yeah.
A lot of times we try to throw things in different sections, right?
Yeah.
When we don't have, like with athletes, I'll tell them, you don't have to choose. In athletic intelligence, you have to choose between being the smart guy and the athlete. No, you can do both simultaneously. Because if it takes money to make money, in the league minimum, let's say in the NFL league minimum is $480,000. If it takes money to make money, and you making $400, that's worst case scenario. You're making $480,000, which is a really good worst case scenario. And you're connected in a locker room with all these millionaires, and you're connected with all these professionals. What can you do with that? You know what I'm saying? So helping from athletic intelligence, trying to get that it's really a player development program. So we really want that in the districts and even working with the colleges, getting the guys, because we want to create better men. You're going to be somebody's daddy. You're going to be somebody's husband. You need to be a working member of society.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And finding what you put on this earth to do. Everybody got a different lane.
Yeah.
Find out what your lane is.
Yeah.
So that's immediate thing that we're working on. Getting into different conferences, setting up these different symposiums to help the kids, and really getting Bryan Carroll and Associates really going in the school districts. That's like some really immediate, stuff that I really want to get going. And with the books, we want to do a tour.
Yeah.
I love working with the kids. Like, I love to sit down and read, but I knew what it was like. I was real antsy, still kind of antsy to this day. So it's like the SuperCarroll tour. It's like SuperCarroll Fun Day. We go out to the schools, pop up at the schools, read with them, do some of the work pages. Then we go outside and turn up. We're going to play football. We're going to play basketball.
Yeah.
And that's still a learning experience.
Yeah.
Like, think of how much you learn playing basketball. Somebody going to get mad because they ain't getting the ball. Teachable moment. Somebody not going to pass the ball when they should have. Teachable moment. Somebody not going to be hustling. Teachable moment. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I've learned. And I talk to educators a lot. Instead of us being in our feelings, let's use these teachable moments to actually teach them, so we're not in our feelings fussing at them and missing the moment
Yeah.
to build a relationship and to teach them something.
Yeah.
You know, so Bryan Carroll, associate educational consultant, athletic intelligence symposiums, going to the schools, teach them that it's more than the game, and you don't have to shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
You can do what you want.
Yeah.
You can run it.
Yeah.
Because you making money and you making moves. And then the book tour, getting in these schools, empowering these kids about literacy, about education, and really just having a conglomerate of people working together. Like we're talking about all these schools in these communities. Like you got a lot of people that's in the area of that's zone to Madison that's very proficient.
Yeah.
Let's start adopting schools then.
Yeah.
You know, people from the community. Let's get in there. Let's adopt these schools. Let's make moves. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to start. I think we got to get back to that civil rights mentality. And I'm saying they were strategic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, look at all the resources we have now. They were strategic with everything they did. We need to get more strategic about coming to the schools and mentoring and loving on the kids. You know, so.
That's it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So, man, what I do on the podcast is I like to give people a staple of the podcast, man. This T-shirt I made exclusive for all the creators that come onto the podcast is a token from me to you. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. It was just a pleasure talking to you. I know that we'll be in contact as educators to vibe, and I feel like I can learn more from you as an educator to be better in my classroom and better in my setting.
Okay, man,
all right.
Thanks.
Houston, Texas, man. I do what I do for myself to prove I can do it for others. Peace and blessings.
Yo, it feel like 95, Sachi on my body, Biggie, Jigger, Puffy, all that ballin' is a hobby. And I'm wildin' in my wallies, and them valleys, no Pilates. More weight get you more wet, nah that's these Spumante. My crystal ball, I see crystal, I crystal y'all with that. I saw the sign like Ace of Spades, that Ace of Spades get cracked me like cheers to the money guys, the Willie niggas who buy them bottles, and then they spill these liquors. Yo, salute my dude. I see you, dawg. 5 bottles, 1 dick. Why I need 2 bras? I know I'm out of line, but love is shower time. You know it rose rain when your cloud is 9. Get off that high ass hussy. This a private party. Been on my dick too long. Your breath on private party. You gon' be nice or naughty. These walls on priceless Audi. This the upper crust. Fuck is up. Over and done. Overdose. Guess we did it again. Sipping with no remorse.